We go to Tennessee, and didn't really think Tennessee would be here, like a lot of other teams, but it just didn't work out. And Ryan Tannehill just broke down, and it's the offense it's still all Derrick Henry, and that is all it is. Burks, they swung, and maybe they'll hit with Burks. It was going to take a couple of years, so you got to give that kid time. But you look around offensively, they've got to find a left tackle to replace Lewan. That's huge. They got to improve, I think, the guard play as well. So they still got work to do on the offensive line. Another team that needs a quarterback. They have. What are they going to? They need a quarterback. Forget Malik Willis. Look, you took the chance on a third-round guy. Maybe in 2 years, 3 years, you can develop him. But he is not going to be part of their starting 2023 quarterback plans. It's just, I think they should have realized that we just didn't. It wasn't the smart move. And then defense. I mean, again, they're having problems with edge rushers at Tennessee, and the Dupree deal has not worked out. So they got to get more edge rushers. They've got to get another cornerback as well, because Farley can't stay healthy. That's been a disaster.
And that was the question with him coming out of Virginia Tech. It was the durability, right? Everyone loved the upside, and when he was on the field, everyone loved him. It was impossible not to. But the question was, is he going to be able to stay on the field? And the answer to this point is unequivocally no. So you almost have to just say that's not even a factor on our team right now.
Yep. And I just look, they need another corner, because besides McCreary, which was a nice pickup last year in the second round, I mean, I think they could live with Fulton. Molden is just a body in my mind. I don't really know if they got much, but he's only a couple years into the league, so maybe they could still develop him. But they got to find another corner, no matter what. And they also have to find another inside linebacker to pair with David Long. I mean, Zach Cunningham, just enough of him. I mean, that guy's been around. All he does, I mean, he's just like a cheap kind of, okay, he's a veteran, we'll put him in there, but he's not going to help their defense any. And I don't know if Monty Rice is the answer either. You tell me if you think Monty Rice can develop, but there's a lot of needs. They have, but quarterback is still, like with these other teams, they're most important.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tannehill's going to be there in 2023, but there's a good shot it'll be his final year there. They can get out of his contract right now easily. So if something does come up, whether it be the draft, free agency, or trade, they could get out of that contract pretty easily. So he shouldn't feel too secure there. But I'll tell you what, in an offense that has Derrick Henry in the backfield, Tannehill at quarterback, on a team that just traded away A.J. Brown, you have to lean into the strength. The strength is going to be the running game. The running game cannot be strong unless that offensive line gets better. And that's where the draft starts and ends, in my eyes, with Tennessee. They have to re-sign their best lineman, too, in guard Nate Davis. Quality football player, and he will get a big deal. I think Luan is done. I think that the contract is just not economic for them. But the problem is, behind him, Dennis Daly, I believe he led the league in pressures allowed and did not play a full season worth of snaps. So that's a gaping hole at left tackle. I don't see the kid from Ohio State that they drafted last year in the third round being a factor on the left side.
Oh, right tackle.
Keep him at right tackle. So how can you actually credibly go into a season thinking that Derrick Henry, you're going to have to ride on his back and have that kind of hole in the offensive line? It won't work. You're gonna have the same result. And I think you can make a strong case that even though they're not going to be a passing offense, they need another threat in the passing game, whether it's a receiver or tight end. This is too early. Their first-round pick will be too early for a tight end, but they find themselves trading back or on day 2. Those are 2 spots. If I were them, I'm going O-line, receiver, tight end with my first 3 picks.
Yeah, and 2 of their tight ends are free agents, including their top guy, Hooper. So
they had a kid that flashed this year, Okonkwo.
I like him though. Yeah, I like him though.
I like him too as an F tight end, meaning a guy that's going to be in motion and put him in the backfield and play in the slot. But I want a guy, especially in an offense where you are run based,
tight end.
You have an inline guy that can still catch the ball. And I'll tell you what, both those guys can be on the field at the same time. I bet they play a lot of 12 personnel next year with two tight ends if they get another, really solid guy that could put his hand in the dirt. And in this draft class, there are guys that will be there. It is a very, not strong, it is a very strong tight end class.
Yes,
that if they go into
deep.
day 2 and saying, let's get a starter, I think they're going to find one.
Yeah, because it's sort of unfair in a way to Tannehill that they don't have a tight end that is really important to his development or his passing game. Look, maybe what they do, and I don't know, Rand Carthon, I don't know what he thinks because he wasn't the GM last year, so I don't know what he thinks about Malik Willis. Does he go, well, I wasn't on board with that. I don't care about that. That's the old guy's guy, and we're moving on. Or, okay, we're gonna go one more year with Tannehill. Maybe we resign Josh Dobbs on a cheap deal to be the backup, and Willis will give him another year to develop, and then we'll find out if we need to draft a quarterback in 2024.
I think that's the move at quarterback for this team. I really do. I think that's where they're going to be. I think that's where they should be. I'm not making any plans around Malik Willis. No way.
No.
I'll let him stay in the team,
yes.
but I'm not making plans around him.
No.
Absolutely not. This team is about Derrick Henry, and that needs to be leaned into.
And they did draft Haskins last year, so they've got their next guy when the time comes. So they've already taken care of that. This is probably the year, too, that they should have to decide on a big contract for Simmons because he has one more year left.
Yeah,
and it could tag
he's every
him
bit
next
of an
year,
all-pro. Yeah, he's an all-pro caliber. They get Harold Landry back last year, who missed the entire season with his knee injury. So I think that there is some upside with this defensive line and edge rushing group. Dupree, like you said, doesn't look like it worked out. Rashad Weaver, right? But if Landry can come back and give him that 10 to 12 sack year, they have Denico Autry, they have Jeffrey Simmons. Dupree is, I would say, good enough to be a part of a rotation. He's not being paid like that, but defensively, I trust this team a lot more than I do offensively.
Oh, yeah. The offense is kind of generic. It is what it is. And you do need more receiving help. Look, Phillips is a nice pickup. Burks was a nice number one. And Woods is a good veteran, but that's it. They need something. Like you said, wide receiver or tight end. They got to make a decision there in this draft and take one or the other. Okay.
My favorite fit for them would be Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia. Oh. He is such an anomaly with his size. I mean, in the second round. I mean, there's some that think he's going to be a first-round pick. I'm not there yet, but this guy's 6'7", 280, and can run. And when you watch him block, he is an extra lineman on the field, but it's not at the expense of the passing game. He can be a factor as a receiver. So that's a name that I feel like, and just the brand of football that Tennessee plays with, that it is Darnell Washington. And I love the fit. I love the compliment him and Okonkwo could offer each other. Both tight ends, but both very different tight ends. That's something, that pick just kind of stands out in my head when I'm looking at day 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Does make sense. And again, like you said, if you're going to work around Derrick Henry, then an inline tight end, it makes a lot of sense. And the offensive line, take care of that. And then you might be able to do something a little bit on offense next year. And with an offensive line as well, it's a lot easier to take care of Ryan Tannehill and make sure he's on the field. Because if you go back to next season with the same 3 quarterbacks, you cannot have Ryan Tannehill miss more than a game or two. That's just more.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely. You'll have the same result.
Yeah.